and welcome back to Stranded D, welcome back to Pacific Paradise, and welcome back to this island we find ourselves on. Last time we came home because, well, we've been exploring, we've been gathering resources to do more building. We've done an impressive amount of building work here already, but you can only be away from your island for so long before your farms stop being hydrated. And if your farms aren't wet, well, if it's not wet, it's not fun. You can quote me on that, put it on a t-shirt. But what I want to do this episode is what I was going to do in between episodes. So I'm just going to dump all this down on the quayside. Yes, it's a little bit of an unusual week this week. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to record because I'm dealing with insurance companies and insurance claims at the moment. I was coming home from work and somebody rear-ended the car. I'm fine, the car's dented but drivable. I'm just really upset. I love my car. If you've watched any of the vlogs, you'll know how much I love it. And now it's, she's got a bit of a problem. While I'm dealing with that, what I thought I would do is do something that I would normally do in between episodes. Ah, sardine. I caught a sardine. Yeah. What I planned to do was update a map. So have a look at an old map that we've created in the map creator before. Just update it to current game standard and then pop it into the world to replace one of our maps already in the world. So yeah, this is just something I was going to do, but not in front of the camera. And the way we do this is hit quit. Let's quit and go back to the main menu. And then from the main menu, hit up cartographer. Cartographer, and then we're going to go and edit Trident. Edit. The map creator, the map editor, it's been a while. Ooh, it's got that map creator smell. So I'm going to hit the cog immediately so that we don't accidentally click and do anything to our world. And have a little look around because it's been some time. So what I remember about this, if we take the ocean off, was that there was a giant shipwreck just kind of hovering out here. And, oh, the shadows, the shadow bug. How do we fix that? Display ocean, point our camera up at the sky, turn the ocean off, point the camera down again, and the shadows are now locked to where they need to be. Little bugs in the map, little bugs in the game, to be honest. There was like half a shipwreck here, one side and then the other side, as if the cargo ship had run aground and cut something else in half. The cargo ship itself is partly submerged because, well, why would you not want it partly submerged? If the camera gets too close to an object, it slows down, but we can hold shift to move. Can we navigate to a point where we can see downstairs? That is good. Can we just punch our way through? Yeah, we can. The engine room. One of the things that you must note when you are creating a map is that all of the cargo, all the cargo boxes, all the loot boxes, all of the storage containers will not populate until you put the map into the real world. Also, and it's kind of a salient point, these holes in the hull, there's a very real chance that the game will just put a big old rock there. If you have specific entryways, there's a very real chance that the game will just put a big old underwater rock where you think there should be like an ingress. When you're dealing with the ocean, just be prepared for the game to do some weird things. I remember this map. This was pre-Hobbs. Ooh, Hobbs Renown. There's no aeroplane up in the trees, but there is an aeroplane over on the beach. So yes, there is. And we just put it in the water. It's just resting there. The engine nacelles are actually in the water themselves. Now this is what I need to check. If we go to objects, I need to check that these are in fact all objects that still exist in the game, because I can't remember how long ago I made it. This is cloth. If you have tarps, if you have an old map and you put tarps in, these would be black. They would be black and they wouldn't have a texture. They would have like a grid pattern on them. The other thing I need to remember is what I put on the island in terms of piggly wigglies. Now that, I believe, is a giant ball. I might want to remove that because that guy is super aggressive. Let's do that. Boop. Are you sure I'm going to delete the giant angry bacon? Yeah, I do actually. Things that we did have on the island. I mean, there were a few survivor structures, which is nice. Just check these. There's a lantern there. I think we put the lantern there. And then giant crab. And the giant crab is kind of floating. And the reason the giant crab is floating is because when a player comes to the island, any animals will gently drift down to the level of the sand. So we don't need to worry about them. If we put them below that, they might clip through the beach. But if we put them above the level of the sand, that's fine. I think there was a rock arch here. Yep, rock arch is still here. Everything is still connected. Good. Right. That's fine. There is an issue with 1.0 though, and 1.0 had the beach. You can't smooth the beach anymore. You can get to a certain point, but there's always going to be some ridges and lines on the beach. Everything seems to be okay. Everything seems to be in order. These tree arches, which is something that I was very fond of at the time, are still here. As you run along the beach, you have these arches that the tree boughs or limbs make. The player can walk underneath, and we can tell that if we go to structures and grab Mr. Door. Adventures of Mr. Door. If Mr. Door can fit underneath something that you've built in the map creator, then a player can, because the player has to fit through a door. If you're making a jumping puzzle or something like that, you need to make sure Mr. Door can maneuver around. And if you pull it out of the toolbox and don't let go, it'll just follow terrain like nobody's business. That's kind of cool. We have like a little cave thing going on here, which I remember. Not a full cave, some steps that were going up into the woods, and there was like a bowl here. That seems everything's still okay. I don't see any floating trees. And then one of the central pieces of the island was this watery inlet with the tree trunk, which you could walk across, and then what looked like a kind of a little spring thing there. So I think everything was okay here. It is, little piggly wiggly. It's fine. I can't remember where the other giant crabs are. We could put a few more giant crabs on the island. It's no big deal. Yeah, everything looks fine. I don't think everything's like clipping into the water at high tide. We can change tides. If we go back to terrain and change the time of day, we actually change the tide. So this is high tide here, and we can just kind of see the sunlight glinting off it. It's kind of hard to see once it's very shallow area of water on the beach. And then we can go full low tide, which is about here. So that's low tide, and it's pushed quite far back. I'll just put it back to about midday. And the other thing that we had was a jumping puzzle. Jumping puzzle with a bit of clay just there in order to break your legs should you fall off here. So I'm just going to click on objects so I don't have anything selected. Jumping puzzle seemed fine. It was a very basic puzzle. I think you could jump from the right piece of rock down to the left piece of rock. I think you'd actually go back as well. And then you would have to go around the outside like the Buffalo Girls. And then you would be able to jump across here. Again, one side's higher than the other, which kind of stops you going back. Gives you some tins of food, a torch, or a flashlight, if you happen to be from the Americas, and some lashings. There's going to be a box that appears up here as well. I think everything's fine. Yeah, potatoes and the like. Fruit and everything should now actually spawn. The fruit won't appear on the fruit trees at the moment in the map editor. That's something you need to keep in mind. It will once we're in the game. That's been fixed now. There is the door here, which also leads down into the cargo ship. The cargo ship will have red containers on deck, but in the editor you can't see them. I don't think you can even see them if you fly away and get the low. Oh, there you go. Low level of detail, so there's the red containers as they will be on deck. Yeah, they don't appear on that particular model. Right, were there any shipwrecks around here that I remember? That's a good question. Display ocean turn off. Yes, there's one over here. Which, if we look up at the sky, ocean on, ocean off, lock those shadows, go back to objects. There is a bit of a problem with this particular shipwreck. It is in the game. It does exist. But there are levels of detail, so there are models missing from the map editor at the moment and have been for a while. I think if we get very close, it might reappear. No, it's very broken. Yeah, all we can see are the yellow grab rails. The high detail model is missing. The lower detail models are missing, and effectively only the like the billboard marker is there. The very low detail, like two-dimensional model. And that's going to be the same for the one over here as well. I'm going to leave those shipwrecks. They'll be fine in game. They'll be absolutely fine. But in the map creator, it's completely biffed. So we have this over here, and we spent a long time putting this in. We've got one half of a shipwreck over there. I'm wondering if we do something more with this. I'm not entirely sure. We go back to, well, we've got structures. Plane wreck. So yeah, you can just drag an aeroplane into the game. That's where the Douglas Dakota comes in, or the C-47 Skytrain, or the DC-3, I guess. We've got rowboats, which we can put in. There are already some in there. I think this was the first little island that we created, so we went kind of ham with the detail on this tiny little offshore island. Sea forts, they exist. Yes. There is another map that I think utilizes the top of a sea fort, actually. There is a bit of a caveat with sea forts. I made a map that used them. Unfortunately, when people downloaded the map, the sea forts were missing. Only I could see them. It was a weird bug, and so I've not used them since. If you're making a map and putting it up on the Stranded Deep workshop, which you can do, there are instructions on how to do that on the forums. Be very careful with the sea forts. Shelters, 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 shipwrecks. So we've got shipwreck 12A. Never has anything on it. It's always spooky in terms of the depth that it's at. Max reach is 13A, 2A is fine. I might put another shipwreck out here, because once you've been on an island for a while, you really do want to go and explore a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll put some more shipwrecks, and I'll make them kind of hard to get to. I don't want to make it turbo easy for everyone. But at the same time, we're not gonna worry too much about terrain and things. This is just refreshing the map, giving it a little touch up for anyone who goes into the workshop and downloads it. Right. Okay, cool. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to back her up a little bit. There we go. What we're going to do is go back to terrain and turn the ocean back on and see how deep that is. That is very deep. That is very, very deep. All right. That is so deep, I think we can actually go back to objects, select the object, move it forward a bit, and a little bit up. You can, in fact, get inside, which you can. I'm going to hold down shift. The inside is clear of debris and things. You have no choice as to whether the game will fill that with coral or rocks or anything. That's very deep there. If you're standing here, you'll be like, doop-a-doop-a-doo, I'm looking at these rocks. Oh, I can see something. It's kind of spooky. It's down there. It's not hard to get to, but it's quite deep. And then that's the abyss down there. ABYSS. That's how we spell that. Neat. It's just a little bit of extra shipwreck. The one over there is fine, but we can't see those anymore. I'll do the same thing. Turn the ocean off. I'm going to worry about the shadows this time. I might. That's quite far out. There's a ship right there, ship right there. There's a big one over there. I'm just going to go up high and just kind of see things from the sky. What do your elven eyes see? My elven eyes see many things. Shipwreck 2A seems to be a good shout. There's 8A, which is the luxury yacht, but again, that is a spooky one to behold once it's underwater. 2A seems to be like a good one. What I'll do is I'll put her there. And then R to rotate. If you don't know, it's R to rotate, T to transform. It's been a while. It's been a while. And then I'll just have a little look on the inside. Make sure there is enough room. There's plenty of room for someone to get in and out. You don't want people to be able to get in and then just drown because they can't get out. Poor map design, that is. Yeah, I'll lift her up a little bit. And then I'm going to turn the ocean back on. Yeah, completely submerged. I don't want somebody to be taking a raft around and then hit that because you can't see it. You can see the mast over there poking out of the water, so that's obvious. I've added in a couple of new shipwrecks. I'm going to hit up objects so we don't actually do anything. We got some baby crabs on the island, which is nice. Got a big crab there. Baby crab. So these are crab spawners from what I remember. But wait, are they? I think so. If you go to animals, boop, boop. Crab spawner. Alright, so what you can do is just delete that object as the crab and then pop in a crab spawner. You don't need to angle it or anything. Terrain objects just to deselect everything. You don't need to angle it or anything. It'll start moving around of its own volition once the player is on the island. I think that's a crab spawner as well, but since I can't remember and it won't tell me, we'll do the same thing. Grab the green toggle and move her up. There we go. And if I see anything like that, I can do that. And too many animals will cause your island to lag very, very badly. It'll just lag like nobody's business. There's another one there. I think these are all spawners anyway, but since I can't remember... Boop, there we go. There's something down there that the game has selected. What is down underneath the... Oh, it's a rock. All right. Yeah, what's under the island? Nothing. Nothing is under the island. Here we go. Terrain objects. Make sure nothing's selected. Oh, we could put another little crabbity crab around the island. It's not too much terrain objects. I don't want to accidentally move anything. That's why you hit terrain and then objects. Let's see. Cloth. So there's plenty of stuff kind of kicking around the island. It seems a pretty standard island that we've built here. I'm pretty sure we built this on camera. There we go. Giant crab is on the other side of the island. I don't know why there's only one giant crab. I thought there were two. But he'll respawn every 6 days. I'm going to delete that again because I can't remember if there was an issue with it or not. I'll replace it with the giant crab spawner. Alright. And then that pig that was over here. Terrain objects. I will replace that with a giant crab as well. So there's 2 giant crabs on the island. Which gives some peril, but not a huge amount of peril. Because I don't want people to be like super nervous and upset. There was a way up here as well. Ah, yeah, it's all coming back to me. You could climb up here and get to the top of the island and then have a look out. All right, yeah, neat. The main feature, the main draw is this shipwreck. So what I'm going to do is kind of curious as to whether we can do anything with the wreck that's underwater. Let's put that down so we're looking down again. Okay, cool. I think this was okay. A little bit of twisted metal here and there. I'm going to just check the shipwreck. So objects, structures. Oh, we got the rowboat. Nope. Shelters. No. Those are the survivor shelters. Shipwreck 12A. Don't need it because it's too big. 13A is this one. 2A is the one we've been putting around. 3A is invisible and kind of broken. If I let go, it would put it in the world. 4A are these clamshells that we've been using. 5A. Yeah, alright. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that rock. I'm going to use 5A. And then rotate her around. Count it over sideways. T to transform. Move it out. And then move it down. And then rotate it down in... Okay, I want to tell a story. Oh yeah, F is focus. So you've got this little eye here with a cube. If you press F, it just focuses it to the center of the screen. I tapped that accidentally, but yeah, that's what that does. In order to carry on with this, what I'm going to do is rotate this around and then just have it so that it looks like there's more to this wreck that got absolutely shreked. There we go. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Rotate. So R is rotate. Rotate her around. T to transform. Have to move the camera in order to see which is X, Y, and Z. And then R to rotate. Okay, fine. And then T to transform. Okay. So what we have is the bow of a ship with some bits here. I might even move that a little closer. I think it's red, isn't it? I don't want it clipping into the hull of the ship, because what I don't want is to have somebody swimming around inside and then they accidentally get snagged on something. So you've got a wreck here. I think there was only that there. Was there anything else underneath? That seems a bit of a weird... No, I think that was it. What I might do is just twist that around a bit. Have it more canted over. And sticking up. So it's kind of a bit more obvious above the coral. And there's a hole there as well. Okay, cool. What we're going to do is turn the ocean back on and see what we can see. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Underwater? Boom. We can't see underwater, so the underwater haze isn't there, the fish aren't here, and we can actually look down to the bottom of the island cake. What is that down there? Bloop. I think there's a... Oh, it's the shadows of the buoys. The buoys? Yes, these yellow things are called buoys. They float in the ocean and usually anchored on things like lobster pots or for navigation. Americans call them buoys. In fact, if you watch Star Trek, they're called buoys, but the rest of the world calls them buoys from the word buoyant, so B-O-U-Y. Just a fun little language thing there. Who's right and wrong? Who cares? You know what they are if you use the word. That's fine. We have a wreck, which is sort of angled down towards the abyss. For people who have no fear, that's not a problem. For people like me, that's an absolute nightmare. So, you know, grab the stuff and swim away. Like something's going to be grabbing hold of you if you don't. A bit more stuff here. Could we add things like a debris field? Yes. Well, yes and no, I think. Yeah, it's definitely one of those yes-no things. I wonder if we add a lantern. Because there's going to be like coral and stuff. Ooh, would that be spookums? I think there's going to be a lot about spookums. If anyone's swimming around here and there's just like a glowing lantern. There are a couple of lanterns, and we'll add some jerry cans to the mix. So rotate that over. I don't want to add too many physics objects just laying on the sea floor, because if nobody picks these up, they will count towards the rendering time of the game. I'm just looking for barrels. Where's the bats? Boy balls. Boy balls, scrap. Barrels. Okay. There's some debris in the debris field. I'm going to put that there. It's likely that this will all be obscured anyway. But that's fine. A debris field happens on a shipwreck when a shipwreck is usually on its way down to the bottom of the sea. And all the loose things like plates and cutlery, furnishings, soft furnishings, light fittings, anything that can be washed out of the hull ends up being washed out of the hull and settling on the seabed in a field, essentially, like a debris field. Titanic has one, Lusitania had one, and then the Royal Navy went along and depth charged the absolute ass out of the Lusitania's wreck because she may not been carrying contraband. And that's just what they did, which is unfortunate because that was essentially a war grave, but we don't talk about the war. Anyway, I think is that everything? Yeah, we've given it a little touch up. What we can do is go to escape, hit save, and then save. Yes, please. Then quit. Yes, please. I'm immediately going to add this to my game. What we have is a world which we are currently on this island here, the red one, Hobbs Revenge. The white ones are islands which you select. So what have we got here? Deep Blue Sea, we've got Blue Hole, we've got Hobbs Rest. So those are the 3 custom islands that are currently in the game. We have the little island over here, which I believe this one actually has the shipwreck, the big shipwreck on it. And I can tell because, I mean, apart from the fact that that is north, it's telling us which way is north. I also know that the opening to the river is where the house is. And the house sits here facing Blue Hole. And I know the island I want to replace is over here, over the other side of the gyrocopter pad. So we can find Trident, left click, and just drag it over the top. Let go, and then hit apply. Boop. Donezo. So if we go back, and then hit play, and continue. Well, if we hit continue, we end up back in the real world, and you might think, well, this is where it's going to end, right? This is as far as you can get, because the island that you've just put in is over there. And we can tell it's over there, because if we zoom in a little bit with a spear, that is no longer the small island that it was. Well, how do we get over there? Well, we're still going to need to eat and drink. So let's do a little slurp straight away. And then I'm going to dump all this down because I don't need it. I, in fact, am going to drink. But, we could sail over there on the raft. But if I'm doing something for YouTube, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to hit tilde or / on a British keyboard. / I'm going to type in dev.god. And that means, bloop, we can now fly. What? I didn't know you could fly on the PC version of the game. Yeah, so / or tilde, I think on tilde. Can we look at that up there? Yeah, that is a genuine aircraft. I am actually going to do that since it's flying overhead. It's a complete... I mean, somebody asked, is this a mod? No, this isn't a mod. This is something that does exist in the game. And it is... It's 2-dimensional. It's a sprite that flies over the head, overhead. So we'll go back to the island. And back on the island, we still have to worry about eating and drinking. When you're in God mode, you're essentially just flying. It's not no clip, it's just fly around mode. So I'm just going to grab 8 tin of beans and just chuck that down. Doesn't this spoil the game? It does. So for the TV series, for the YouTube series, everything is done in game. So gathering resources, building, coming up with things is done in game. But if you are doing things like this, if you want to check a map that you've put in and you want to check that everything is exactly where you've placed it, getting your raft out, sailing backwards and forwards is going to be something of a pain in the ass. So the ability to fly is super important. But wait, there's more. Yeah, of course there's more. It's 8:40 in the afternoon. I'm just going to find some shade. Okay, so we're out of the sun, and I'm going to pull up the menu and type in dev.time 10. Change the time to 10 o'clock in the morning, which gives us a better light, which means sploosh. We can now have a little look around. It could be that sharks still spawn. That is something of an issue. So here we are. Here's a rock in one of our very carefully placed shipwrecks, but everything has now spawned in there. Like I was saying, rocks just kind of form where you don't want them to form. And if we go over the top, Here is one of the entrances. So the rocks aren't going to be for everyone in the same place. This just happens to be on this version of this game, on this computer, on this save. Those are where the rocks are. So we can get in there still. That's neat. And this is something that we just added. So we just added these and we didn't know if they were going to be visible. Turns out at this point, yes. The door. Boom. Now, there is somewhere in here a lantern. We're probably not going to be able to see it. I put it above the ground. Can I get out? Yeah, there we go. Because at the moment, you can't really see, but we're in a standing position as we're flying around in God mode. Oh, Jesus! You know what I was saying? You know what I was saying about sharks and they can exist in the game? That's a great white. He shouldn't be on this island because, as you saw in the map editor, I didn't put a great white on this island. But I think because we're so close to the edge of the island tile, yeah, he's just despawned. Well, his model's despawned. I think what happens is they follow you in as you move across from one place to another. I don't know where he went. That's disturbing. Can he attack you? Yeah, but you're in God mode, so you could just fly away. So everything else is fine. This was the new one that we put in. I'm still nervous about that freaking shark. We can't crouch in this mode, but I can see inside there, so that's all okay. Up here, this is where all the stuff would spawn. So this is the food and the lanterns and everything. That's fine. And that's a crate. It's not fallen off into the ocean, so that's kind of neat. It does mean that at some point we can come here during, like, as we're playing the game and probably encounter great whites closer to shore. So the actual shipwreck is this. No. So is this going to be, is this workable? Yes, everything looks like it works. I need to check out the crabs on the other side of the island. But there you go, screenshot as well. So if you're recording, you can use the God mode to grab a nice screenshot. It is now midday, so the shadows are kind of neat as well. Let's see, everything else was okay. This log is not broken or anything. Nope. And the cribbly crabs, have they spawned? Yes. Yeah, there we go. So crab has spawned. He's going to attack us. He can still nip us. We can still take damage in God mode. We're essentially just flying around. So he's okay. There's one over here, and he'll be... Yep. So he's okay. And then the little crabs, where did they end up? Because that's a crab spawner. Oh, it's in the sea. And yes, they do give you a little nibble. Good, I think everything is here, everything's fine. What we can do is just go dev.god, and now we are running around in the map as we would do normally. So as I'm playing the game, as I'm exploring, as I'm doing everything, building and the like, it's done in normal mode, but sometimes you do absolutely, especially if you're making maps, need to go into the game, check the map, make sure everything's okay. If everything is okay, then that's fine. If it's not, go back into the map editor, make some changes, go back into the game, look at it. Does it work? Has it had an effect? If it has had an effect, great. If it hasn't, go back into the map editor. So being able to fly saves a huge amount of time, and everything looks fine. So that's what I would be doing in between episodes. That's what I would normally be doing off camera. But just a little peek behind the curtain, a little peek there, little peeky peek. So I'm going to leave this for the time being. Yeah, this is just a quick view of the map editor, just a quick view of putting a map in the game and just checking it out and making sure everything is in fact working. There was something else to do with LED models. Oh yeah. Because the ships like the cargo ship have a weird, like, funky LED model, the further away you get, at some point it's going to start looking a little bit not good. The way you get around that is you just put stuff in the way so you break line of sight. So you can't see the cargo ship unless you're kind of close to it. Because from back here, things like the red containers, and there you go. It's snapped out. So it's there, and then boop, the whole ship is gone. Is now its lowest poly model. In fact, I think it's just like a sprite model at this point. So the way you get around that, put cliffs and stuff in the way, so the cargo ship is not visible from the ground unless you're super close to it. That's just a little top tip. So if you like these videos, definitely leave a little like, leave a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want notifications, dingle the bingle. If you don't want notifications, don't click the bell. And I'll tell you what, I'll catch you next time.